Seba and Aleida mentioned, has started 6 months ago. So we are in the beginning. It's a 3-year project and funded from Horizon Europe program. Okay. Today we have a live workshop, and thank you also very appreciated Serge for for organizing this workshop. So we'll start with this BioTheRoS overview. Then we'll have 2 topics, one for the feedstock, and Serge will moderate this topic, and the second topic will be the biofuel. So we have nice presentations from all of you, and thank you to be here with us in order to discuss and to find also some synergies for the project. The project it's sorry. I'm trying, but it doesn't work. Ah. Okay, perfect. So just a few words about the project overview and the motivation about why we submit this project, what is the topic. So here the issue is about the high greenhouse gas emissions and the lack of sustainability in transport sector. So our motivation is to reduce the transport emissions and increase sustainability, and to reach the European targets at least 6% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Again, thank you, Aleida. Solutions within BioTheRoS is to increase the renewable energy sources in aviation and maritime sectors, to scale up, because we have, we'll see later the technologies, but here the main objective is the scale up, of biomass projects, and especially dropping biofuels from lignocellulosic biomass through thermochemical conversion technologies, gasification and pyrolysis. And we have also potential CCU integration and optimization with renewable hydrogen use. We have some expected impacts here: environmental, as we mentioned, greenhouse gas emissions reduction, CCU integration, renewable hydrogen use, and the penetration of RES, economic, to have a cost-effective solution, and based on some, as we will see later, some, let's say, innovative solutions. Technical impacts regarding the scalability of the system, how it can be scalable, and reaching from TRL3 to TRL5, because we start from the lab, so we reach to pilot. And of course, commercial exploitation, risk and mitigation actions. This one is also the impact that we would like also to have today in the workshop. Here it's the consortium. We have a nice consortium. Serge is a coordinator. Apart from a coordination about the technical part, we lead the sustainability aspects, the safety modeling, process modeling, and also we have some experimental pilot activities, especially for the CO2 capture and FT upgrading. Regarding now BDGs, the second partner, here we have BDGs, the pyrolysis expert, and also contributes to the policy framework. CIRSE is about the logistics, for the biomass logistics, and the production of artificial intelligence predictive tools for biomass supply chain. It's about works for the dissemination best for the gasifications, the gasification expert, and also contributes to international cooperation activities. And finally, motor oil. It's a refinery in Greece, one of the biggest refineries in Greece, and is let's say, the end user of our products that we are going to produce. So here it's the technologies that we target. We have two routes, as I mentioned. The first one is about the pyrolysis. Okay, you can see here in the green light, in the green color, the pyrolysis route. Well, also we have the gasification. As I mentioned, for the gasification, we integrate also with a CO2 capture. So here we have a quite integrated solution. We have also the supply chain. We evaluate also the supply chain and all the required, let's say, models that they need for the evaluation of the supply chain. We can see here a map how we start, which are the stages of our project. So starting from biomass supply, and you can see here that we evaluate everything: collection, the transportation, the internal solars, the pre-treatment that it is required for the biomass supply to the refineries. Here we have the second step is the lab scale. We have units at the BESS and the PTG for gasification and pyrolysis. The pilot scale, so from the lab scale we move to the pilot scale to TRL5 in order to validate the technologies. And we have a number of final products, as you can see on the right section. The stakeholders engagement is required, and it's something that we would like to have a lot in during our project. Here are the expected results. So about, first of all, the environmental, we expect our solutions to be able to reach to 80% greenhouse emissions reduction compared to fossil fuel-based value chain. We expect also surplus energy, about 15 to 25%, while we expect to replace 25% of the current feedstock that they're using for biofuels in the aviation and not used for advanced biofuel production. 15% increase of fuel production from biomass, and the consumption in the biofuel sector, in the maritime and aviation sector, to be increased about 25%. Finally, the cost reduction is expected to be about 20% for maritime biofuels via gasification and the pyrolysis upgrading. As we mentioned, the target of the workshop is to have an engagement with stakeholders, so to identify barriers and challenges for our technologies, to see exactly also your interest about the technologies, what is, let's say, some real value chains that are expected in the future. So this one will be very helpful in us to make our, let's say, concepts, to build on that and to make scenarios realistic. So, as you can see, first of all, see the barriers, to see the market, okay, to understand the market, and to engage in this effort the stakeholders. Of course, in this effort that we do through the workshops, we need also feedback from other European projects. So we are open to discuss with other European projects and to find synergies. Finally, I have two slides for the groups that we target through this workshop and the next workshops that we will organize in the BioTheRoS project. First of all, biomass providers. Okay, so here we need some feedback, and I think that's during the topic that moderates can discuss more about that. We have also technology and services providers, okay, for technology and services and equipment manufacturers. So again, this one is a target group that we target. So then it's the fuel producers and distributors, okay, here to have access to more sustainable products in their portfolio and to try to inform them about the evaluation of environmental, economic, and social benefits from biofuel production. We have today Repsol, but also Motorola is a partner of the project. Public authorities, okay, to try to disseminate the results and to provide some lessons learned for social, let's say, acceptance. Researchers and academia, okay, we like synergies with research institutes and universities on that topic. European Commission initiatives, so to exploit other results based on specific European Commission initiatives. General public and citizens, similar what I mentioned before, also for society. So here again, the social acceptance of the project. Biofuels experts from mission innovation countries, so to raise awareness among those experts. And finally, biofuels and users. Okay, that we target here, especially maritime and aviation sector. So that's all from my side. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Serse, for organizing this workshop. And I hope that we will have a fruitful discussion today. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We are just starting the most dynamical part of this workshop. As I said before, my name is Clara. I will be in charge of moderating this first roundtable about feedstock. Obviously, it is like the first stage we are addressing in the new value chain we are creating. So before moving to the roundtable, the speakers, and the big part of this, I will very briefly introduce Circe. I have just 5 minutes, so I will do it very, very quickly. I believe most of you already know us, but for those maybe online who are not very aware of our activity, we are a technological center located. Our headquarters are located here in Zaragoza, but we also have presence in Madrid and Brussels. And we are specialized in energy and sustainability as a whole, let's say, from the different parts that we are covering in these topics. We basically develop innovation and technology development projects for our main purpose, that is supporting our industrial landscape and promoting the innovation and the transfer to these sectors. We start with obviously by helping them to improving their competitiveness in this sense. We need to understand what they need, what you need, industrial stakeholders. You're already here, so for that it's very important to know your point of view, your needs, what you need to be developed in terms of technology, in terms of innovation, and obviously to support you to transfer what we are doing in this type of projects to the reality. That at the end is like our DNA. This is it. We are almost 300 employees right now. We are growing every year, and we're very young. 37 years old. Well, we have all of our life to keep on working on European projects. And what are we doing in BioTheRoS? Dimitrios already introduced it, but basically we are working on the creation of new value chains for biomass valorization. That means understanding, oh, it changed my nice logo there, but anyways, it is not, a crusader. It's a good thing. We are working on to understanding the biomass potential in Europe, mainly for these two biofuel sectors, that would be aviation and maritime production, through these main two pyrolysis and gasification technologies. We are also working on designing the new value chains. That means how we collect the biomass, as you already said, all the costs that are related to these operations, how we need to condition, how we need to pre-treat this biomass to be further fed into these processes, and so on. And obviously, this is also with a third purpose, that is helping to the decision-making process to understand how this market are going to progress in the following years. That is something that is not, let's say, trivial, and somehow it is also one of the main outputs of our participation in BioTheRoS. Obviously, we have, like, let's say, two parts of this. One part that is already being performed by my colleagues Sebastian and Daniel in terms of understanding the biomass potential and what we need to do to prepare those feedstock for their further use. That has been done mainly with our previous expertise and know-how in the processes, but with, let's say, public information, public reports, previous experiences in other projects, and so on. But this is also key to have your feedback as industrial stakeholders, feedback from the association, and feedback for final consumers to understand how we could, upgrade this information to make it more accurate, so we could have a better prediction of what is going to happen and how the new value chains are going to be shaped. That is going to be translated into two main confidential outcomes that obviously cannot be fully released at the end of the project, but that would be the whole cost design of the new value chains and the predictive biomass models. And for that, it is key to have information from the processes in terms of efficiency, yields, upgrading that we need to do afterwards, and obviously from the policy framework, how these markets are going to be promising in the following years, even though, the targets are huge. So it's not going to be that let's say, that easy to convert everything into fully decarbonized maritime and aviation sector. So for that, it is very important, this type of initiatives, because at the end, it is the opportunity to interact between each other and to have the perspective from different sectors that are not included in the project itself. Obviously, you might ask what type of biomasses are you addressing? I wish we could cover everything, but it is very difficult. So we are focusing on those that are much more representative in the European level, and obviously very aligned with the current Renewable Energies Directive too, but also having in mind the next one that will be here, in which we are also having a look at Part A and Part B of Annex 9. If I'm not wrong, we have Bioenergy Europe also online, so we could discuss about this later with Manolis. But that to give you a first overview of what we could discuss in the roundtable and what will be of value for us. So it is now time for the roundtable. I'm going to give you some rules. I don't know if it's this included in the second roundtable presentation, but I can give you, let's say, as a general rule for today's activity. We have 10 minutes for each speaker, and then we have some time for questions, discussion, and so on. So I would please ask the speakers to suit to that time, because otherwise it is really difficult to, everyone could have the same time for everything. So I would give you like a first notice, like half of your presentation, so you could imagine that you have 5 minutes left. Try to adjust to that, and yellow and red targets, cards in the football match. Well, the second notice would be at the minute 8, so you would have 2 minutes left to finish. Okay. So without further ado, nothing else too much to say from my side. In this first roundtable, we have Magnon. Esteban, I think this is not the updated version, but anyways, to be defined, no, it is Esteban Santiuso from Magnon. Sorry. We have also Teresa. We have Laura, that is online. Laura, can you hear us?
Yes, hello, good morning.
Hello, Laura. Good morning. And we also have Margarita from BioPlat. So if you maybe we could go one by one to present, or they can, okay. They can sit here, and we will proceed with the with presentations. I will give you a short bio of each of them. I should unlock my laptop. It's going to be weird because all of us are Spanish, so. Okay, so I will introduce you very briefly. Esteban is a chemical engineer from the University of Valladolid and holds a different additional formation in the field of energy processes and talent management and stuff, another perspective. And as he said before, he's head of biomass trading unit in Magnon Green Energy that is part of Fluminense. It is a big pulp paper, and well, you do a lot of things at this moment in Spain. Since 2022. Right now, Magnon is managing more than 2 million tons of biomass from the supply to the final use in their power plants. And well, you, together with your team, has created the business unit of biomass trading, where they are also selling biomass to third parties for energy purposes. So, floor is yours, Esteban.
Thanks
Thank you
for the introduction.
Yes, sir.
Well, exactly as you have said, we in Magnon, we belong to ENCE Group. ENCE is a pulp production company mainly, but they also have turned into the renewable energy business, and thanks to the biomass. Okay, so they are in ENCE, we are specialists in wood in general, but I'm going to go deeper in the biomass. That is what is more important for us. So Magnon, which is the subsidiary of energy renewable of ENCE, we are the first company in the production of renewable energy with biomass. Then we will talk quite a lot about forestry biomass. And we have installed capacity of 266 megawatts in 8 factories. Let's think here. I don't want you to put the red cards. I will try to manage my time as fast as possible. Magnon in the beginning, they started, I say they because I only 2 years with Magnon, 1 year and a half. They started in the south of Spain with 8 different factories, electricity production factories with biomass. Okay, we make, as you have said, between 1.6 to 2 million tons of biomass for our factory. So we can consider that we are specialists in biomass. Okay, we are specialists in biomass for our power plants. But 2 years ago, we started to think that we have to change a little bit our business, not only for power plants, not only for the power production, but also to use this know-how of the biomass, of the supply of biomass that we have for our power plants, to sell to third parties, or to participate in the projects of using the biomass for other uses, not only for energy. Okay, so nowadays what we have in the south, as you can see, in the south of Spain, we have the power plants, but we also now we have different capacity to supply biomass in the north and the east of Spain. Okay? And what you can see in Galicia, in the northwest of Spain, is the biofactories of ENCE. Okay? They also have some power production with biomass. So this is Magnon, and this is Magnon with ENCE. So as I have said before, we are specialists in production of energy with biomass, that we have taken this know-how to sell to third parties and to help others with the supply of biomass, because we consider that we are specialists. I think we are the ones who are moving more biomass in Spain by far. Okay. We also have another business line, another new business line, that is that we help companies in the decarbonization, installing boilers with biomass to produce heat. For example, I don't know, if we have beverage companies, we have some customers that we have make the engineering and also the additional management of the new boiler, and we supply the biomass. We sell directly the energy to the company with a boiler installed in the installations, okay, in their sites. But here I would like to focus on the biomass trading, not because it's my business, but I think because also it's more interesting for you. So we can say that, yeah, last year in 2023, it was not the best year for us in terms of supply of biomass because of the price of electricity, especially at the end of the year. So we reduced a little bit the use of biomass, but anyway, 1.6 billion tons of biomass is not bad. We cover the energy needs of 1 billion people. This is always a really nice number. But for me, what is also important, we have started several years ago, Magno has started several years ago with forest biomass. And also with olive cake. I don't know if you know olive cake. Olive cake is the last residue of the olive that has a very nice calorific power, and it's very easy to produce in a boiler. So those two, forest and olive cake, was the main biomass that we have started several times ago. But you know, the price of the biomass is not regular. It increases, it decreases, depends on the price of the electricity, it depends on the price of the gas, it depends on quite a lot of things. And we needed to understand, or we needed to have more stability in the prices of biomass. So we started to use other kind of biomass, like biomass from vineyards, from olive groves, from fruit trees. That is one of our main parts, cotton and others in the surrounding of our facilities, and also in the surrounding of the facilities of our customers. Okay, then we will see a very big case that of the biomass that we have here in Zaragoza that we have been working with a customer. Okay, so for us, I think we were specialists in biomass, in forest biomass and olive cake, but now we are specialists in general in biomass. We are specialists in creating supply chain of biomass in the different regions of Spain. For example, I have one very nice example in Puerto Llano. We have a site facility in Puerto Llano. It was designed for 50% of forest and 50% of olive cake. But the price of olive cake changed from 50 euro tons to 200 euro tons last year. Forest also increased quite a lot. So we decided to create a new supply chain of biomass with vineyard, with the running vineyard, with the Sarmiento. It's very nice for using the barbecue. For using the barbecue, but it's also quite nice to use it in our power plant. So imagine the Sarmiento, imagine this product from the vineyard. After 1 year, we are using more than 70,000 tons of this kind of material in Puerto Llano. So we're specialized in creating this kind of supply chain with the biomass, the surrounding of the facilities that we have or the customers. Very important also that 99% of the biomass that we use in our power plants is SUR system, SUR certificated, and also what we are selling to others is also SUR certificated. Or if we are selling now also to the north, to Sweden, some biomass for the district heating or other cogeneration that they have in Denmark. We are selling products also with SUR certificate or the FSC certification. Also, it depends on the biomass, the type of biomass. We try to use biomass of the surrounding of our customers or our facilities, but it's true that in some cases, for example, in Sweden, when they need more quantity of biomass, we may export from Spain. Okay, so for me, one of the concepts that is important that I want to explain to you is this biomass diversification that we try to make. And Spain is a country that we have forest. We are I think we are the third country with more forest surface in Europe, but we also have the agriculture that is quite good. Okay. But this is only an example of this is Zaragoza in the middle, and this is a quick analysis of the biomass that we have in the surrounding. Imagine that here we want to establish a new project, and what we make is we make the analysis of the potential biomass of the different types that we can find in the surroundings. and for example, forest or vineyard that we have here, not very far from 50 to 100 kilometers from here in Zaragoza. We have a nice potential vineyard or fruits or whatever. So we make this analysis, we establish how we analyze how to make the supply chain, how many people we need, how many material we need, how can we handle this biomass. If we need also depots, because we use warehouses for this biomass, the fruit has a lot of seasonality, so it's not we have the biomass fruit from January to June, so we have to stock it in somewhere, so we have to design this kind of supply chain for our customers and for ourselves. Okay. And that's just to finish. This is more or less the summary of what I have already said. So as we said, we consider that we are specialized in the biomass. We have, this is important, we have an internal decalogue of for the sustainability of our biomass. All the biomass that we use is understood, but also we have our internal decalogue that mainly we say that we are not going to use biomass that can be used for other uses more, for other smarter uses. Okay. So at the end, we only use residues, and the word residues is always quite uncomfortable for us. We use the last use of the biomass for the production of energy. Okay. From here, we help in general the rural areas. We finance machinery because there is a lack of machinery here in Spain to obtain the biomass. And we make this kind of analysis, and of course, all the time we're trying to look for new biomass, for a new type of biomasses in Spain, and we have our team of machines and okay. So this is more or less what I wanted to explain. If you want to discuss about biomass, it would be great for me to any of the areas that you have. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Esteban. Really nice to meet you. I really appreciate that. And it is very interesting because you already mentioned some points that are going to be addressed in questions about the sustainability of the feedstock.
Yeah.
How you manage to somehow combine this? So very, very interesting. I think the next one was Teresa from Environmental, let's say the translation would be. She is agricultural engineer, specialized in the food industry, and has. Sorry, I was just following my my PPT.
Okay.
As you wish. I mean, I guess there is no.
Oh, no, there is no problem.
But you can say it. I mean.
Laura, are you there?
Yes. So do you want me to share my screen, or are you going with the other presenter?
Share your screen.
Okay.
We should. That he has been granted to change the.
Okay. Can you share my? Can you see my
Yes,
screen?
Yes.
Okay.
So then it's turn of Laura. Please just give me a second so I can provide a short introduction of herself. Laura, she holds a PhD in Chemical, Environmental, and Biofood Engineering from the University of Oviedo. She has experience as a researcher at the university, focusing on environmental technologies, but also in the industrial field, specifically in the steel sector. So she could provide us a very wide perspective of what's been done in the different potential biomass consumer sectors. Since the end of 2022, she's been part of the R&D department of COGESA, where she's now working, and is mainly linked to different type of European projects. So now, Laura, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for giving us the opportunity of being part of this event. Let me start by telling you that COGESA is a consortium born in 1982 for waste management in Asturias, northern Spain. The consortium is a public entity formed by the government and all the municipal councils of the region of Asturias. This consortium owns the public company with the same name for waste treatment operations. Cogersa collects solid waste using thousands of different colored containers for the separate collection of municipal waste, mixed municipal waste, and clinical waste. In this map of the region of Asturias, you can see a red mark that shows the location of the waste treatment center. The yellow marks correspond to the 9 transfer stations that allow us to optimize costs and reduce the environmental impact of waste collection. Also here you can see the location of the civic amenity sites managed by Cogersa to collect special waste like oils, hazardous waste, or construction and demolition waste. The blue marks correspond to bulky waste areas in rural sites. Here's some numbers. In 2022, Cogersa managed around 821,000 tons of waste, of which half of it was municipal waste. Other larger fractions were also construction and demolition waste, industrial waste, and sewage sludge. Of these 1,000 tons of waste managed, around 43% was recovered. Cogersa sells some products such as recycled aggregates with the CE marking or compost obtained from green waste or from sludge. Also, we produce electricity using biogas engines. So, where all this collected waste is treated and those materials and energy recovered? Well, that happens at the Waste Treatment Center, which is quite a unique complex that integrates many facilities. For example, a MBT plant for mixed waste, sorting plants for light packaging waste and paper and cardboard, an anaerobic digestion plant for biowaste treatment, 3 composting areas for treating green waste, sewage sludge, and digestate, etc. There are also complementary processes, such as 2 waste treatment plants, a laboratory, and an open lab for R&D projects. To give you details of some of these facilities, here, for example, you can see our new MBT plant. It was built last year and recently started its operation to treat up to 415,000 tons of mixed municipal waste, mostly. You can see here also the expected outputs of diverse sorted materials. Some of these materials has low uptake or poor acceptance for mechanical recycling, depending on their characteristics. So Cogersa will have to deal with great amounts of biostabilized organic waste, 60,000 tons, also SRF, dirty paper and cardboard, among other streams. This is and will be quite challenging for us. Here are some photos and data about other facilities within the complex of Cogersa. Among other future challenges for us, that will be the compost obtained from sewage sludge, because next year it will lose its certification as compost. Then it will no longer be considered as compost. It will be treated sludge. Cogersa managed 80,000 tons of sludge in 2022, of which 60,000 tons were treated in the composting plant to obtain compost. We also have an area for good and bulky waste, another area for composting green waste and cattle manure, and we produce compost with eco-label. So what are the alternatives for treatment? Of course, first of all comes waste prevention and reuse. But after that, we have to think in recycling, as it is the preferable option in the waste hierarchy. In the case of mechanical recycling, some waste streams have low acceptance. And that's when chemical recycling may enter. But these are still new technologies that will have to give proof of their reliability. And then after recycling comes for sure recovery as recovery alternatives, where waste to energy and waste to SAF have its opportunity. In this graph, we can see the treatment carried out in the European Union in 2021. 9 countries have already met by that time the target of less than 10% of landfilling, using recycling plus composting and also waste to energy alternatives. In the case of waste to energy, here we can see the evolution in Europe of the tons treated from 2001 to 2020. What we can see is that the growing rate seemed to have slowed down in the last of these years. So taking into account all of this, Cogesa, as a waste manager, is interested in collaborating in R&D projects, and it's developing an open lab to act as demo site of new technologies. I'm not going to explain all of the past projects and the projects going on, just mention that Cogesa was involved in the past in 2 projects focused on co-incineration. One was one study the novel routes for sewage sludge recovery, and the other one to obtain SRF from municipal waste to be used as an alternative fuel. Nowadays, we are collaborating with a well-known steel company to assess the gasification process of our SRF and obtain synthesis gas. And we and also in the framework of a Horizon project, we will host a hydrothermal liquefaction pilot plant. In this case, the HTL reactor will treat plastic waste, but we are also interested in the future to assess this technology for sewage sludge, SRF, and other streams.
Laura, sorry to interrupt. 2 minutes left, okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
That could be the case of SAF, given that some research show that these technologies, HCl and gasification, could be used to obtain SAF from wet organic and municipal solid wastes. So just to finish, here are summarized some future challenges. First, as I said before, of course, always comes waste prevention and reuse, but then waste managers will select the treatment alternatives to reduce landfilling. And in doing so, technical and economic feasibility are really important and relevant. But also, we think that social acceptance is key for these emergent technologies. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I didn't want to jump in the middle, so because I saw you were running very smoothly. So thanks so much for providing a different perspective, the potential of other type of feedstock that could be or could have a future in this biofuel market. And now, yes, it is time to Teresa from FCC Medio Ambiente. She's an agricultural engineer specialized in the food industry with international experience in food production plants. With over 10 years of experience managing national and international R&D projects, she has served as R&D project manager for an engineering company and the National Research Council here in Spain, the CSIC, maybe you might know it. Additionally, she has worked as a consultant on R&D projects for over 5 years. And currently, she is responsible for waste treatment R&D projects at FCC Medio Ambiente. She is managing R&D projects including national and European topics, including those belonging to Horizon 2020, Horizon Europe, Life, and CDTI programs. So, Teresa, for yours.
Thank you for inviting us to stay here. I'm going to introduce a little bit the company and the department. So,
Yeah.
so most of the people know FCC, but I'm going to introduce. We are part of a big group. This big group includes environmental, water, construction, cements, and real estate. Emphasis en medio ambiente is part of the environmental part, and we are focused on the municipal solid waste. Regarding with this, we work very close with the water and the construction research and development departments. So regarding to the énfasis de medio ambiente, this is the activity that we are working in this moment. Collection, cleaning, municipal solid waste treatment, ground maintenance, several maintenance, and industrial waste. I'm focused in the municipal solid waste treatment and recycling. I'm part of the collection. Regarding with Laura presentation, we are the private company that we operate the waste treatment plants. So we are focused on the same raw materials, but they are public administration and we are the private companies. So this is the main numbers. We are a very old company since 1911. We are in the more important companies in the world regarding to the environmental service. We serve 6 million citizens, and we have a lot of employees, so you can see all of these things. I'm going to tell a little bit about the international presence. The headquarters is in Spain, Madrid, but we have presence in Europe, UK, and USA. So we have 4 different groups. One is from Europe, from East, another from UK, another is from USA. USA is a new market, but with a big growth in the last years, and another UK. Regarding with Spain, we are in Spain and Portugal, and we are the same company. And now I'm going to show you some of the plants that we are operating in this moment. This is in Austria and United Kingdom, and this kind of plants is regarding with the waste treatment. This is more mechanical and biological treatment. As I will say, these plants, the owner are the public administration, but we operate this kind of plants. So we are the company that we operate the plants and introduce the new technologies. And regarding with this, we are in Barcelona and the biomethanation plant in Las Desas. This is some service that we work in Madrid, Valencia, Barcelona, Zaragoza, regarding with the collections. We are in the more important cities of Spain, and this is my part. This is related with innovations. This is all the plants that we have a research center regarding with the waste treatment technologies. Here you can see all the projects that we are now collaborate or we are coordinate. As you can see, the main plants are biomethanation of Las Desas and Ecocentrado in Granada. The last year we start with Loeches in Madrid too, and we expect to open a new one in Madrid the next year. And now I'm going to introduce the main important projects related with the more thermochemical process, because I think that the idea of this project is more regarding with the technology of thermochemical. And now we are the coordinator of this project. This project is, I think, more related with this project. It is with pyrolysis. We're working with the reject of the plant. One fraction that we have very difficult to treat, and normally we throw to the landfill. So we are going to demonstrate one pyrolysis technology, use different rows that we have in this kind of plant. Here you can see the concept of the project, and we start last October, and we we will start to operate the next November, December. But it's a little different than this project because here we hope to obtain some products, but some bioproducts, and now are focusing the syngas or biofuels. This is another project that we are going to finish tomorrow or the next month. This is more related with the biomethane. And we use the biomethane that we obtain in the landfill to capture this kind of biomethanes to clean with upgrading and to use in our trucks and to vehicles. So now we are in the demonstration how we can use this kind of biomethane in our trucks and our vehicles. The other one that we have here is Eclosion. Eclosion is from national fundings, and here it's more from the lab, and we are focused on biohydrogen and biogas, using new technologies like dark fermentations and gasifications, critical gasifications. Very more in the lab, we are not going to demonstrate in any purpose. This is a very old project, but it's very regarding with this. Is something that we study the difference with the incinerations and the gasifications. And this project gives us a lot of information about the difference of the incinerations and the product between the incineration and the gasifications. And this is biomass. This is was the first project that we made regarding with the pyrolysis, and this is more with the some context with the coffee regarding. And now I'm going to finish with another kind of project that we have more regarding with the circular economy, with the plastics, and with the bioproducts. And the last one is more with regarding the slags with incineration, but incineration is a solution, but we have a lot of problems too with incinerations and the product that we generation in incinerations. And to finish, I'm going to focus in the last projects or plants that we start to operate. This is La Campiña in Oasis, Madrid. And this is a new one in United Kingdom, more related with the energy and recovery. And this is in Dallas, the last one. And this is Houston, and that's all.
Thank you. It was now 2 minutes, so great. Good job. Thanks so much. I would say from all the projects you have presented, it is great, firstly to and also from what already Laura said, to feel that the waste management sector is so aware of the different options you have to further valorize your wastes and to create new value chains. So even though let's say the projects were not exactly the same topic as BioTheRoS, you are also familiar to the technologies.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I believe you could also provide some vision on the barriers and opportunities that these technologies could provide to the future.
Yes,
So,
I focus this presentation more on our technologies, that the talent that we have, that our talent is to reduce the amount of the waste that we are going to dispose as the landfill, and the new technology that we need to afford this challenge that we have in this moment. So,
great, thanks so much. So now, Margarita, it's your turn. Very briefly, an introduction for yourself. Margarita is an environmental engineer. She holds a PhD in economy, energy and resources. Maybe most of you already know her because she's very involved in European platforms and association. She's now the Secretary General of BioFlat, the Spanish biocircularity platform, since 2006. And she was involved in the ERA and other platforms at national level. And now you're also CEO of BioCirc, the Spanish Biocircularity Association, that is a spin-off recently created from BioPlat. I believe you are like 1 month or 2 months or something like that. So please, Margarita, first.
Thank you very much, Clara. Okay, so I saw the agenda 5 minutes, so my presentation is very short. So anyway,
You have to, right?
yes, I represent the Spanish Technology Innovation Platform on biocircularity. BioPlat was created in 2006. And we are mainly focused on promoting the sustainable development of biomass, biocircularity, and bioeconomy, basically based on research and innovation strategies and public-private collaboration. So this is what we do. And we've been working with the sector for this almost 20 years. So we've been witnesses of the progress of the sector in Spain. So we draft position papers, we organize webinars, workshops. We are involved as well in European projects, in national projects. So we try to convey the R&D priorities of the sector to European and national decision makers. We are now working with the transmission call, which is national call, that we push a lot because it's very difficult to have calls in Spain that promote and facilitate cooperation between the private and public sector. So this is an achievement that we got. So this is what we do in BioPlat. I'm going to speak about the biomass potential in Spain, about feedstock regulation, and a little bit about biocircularity and biocirc. When we speak in Spain about biomass feedstock, we are speaking about this. And I like your presentation because this is very differential from Europe. In Europe, normally they only speak about forest biomass. And this is a huge problem for us and for all the southern European countries. And we need to scale this because we use forest biomass, but it's approximately 50% of the biomass we valorize. The other 50% or even 60% is agri biomass and agri-industrial biomass, residual waste, lateral streams. And this is our biomass, and we are trying to get to the organic matter that we have as well in the municipal waste, those bio waste that we have there, So we have mainly 3 big, let's say, streams of biomass, or main sources of biomass. One is forest, the other one is agri, primary and secondary sectors, so from the crops and as well from the industries, from the crops, waste, because in Spain you can't speak about dedicated biomass crops. It's almost forbidden. So, and it's something that we have to bring as well, again, on the table, because we need to guarantee, the supply of our plants. So, and the third one is everything related to municipal, the organic fraction of municipal solid waste. The biomass potential resources in Spain is huge, and is absolutely underused. So we have a huge forest area in Spain. 57% of our total surface is forest. You never think about Spain in that way. You think Spain is very dry, no. So we have a lot of forest in Spain, and forest that can be and should be managed in a sustainable way. So we are the the country in Europe with the greatest increase in forest area. So our forests grow annually around 2.2%, and the average in the European Union is 0.5%. But we extract around 41%, or we could extract, and in Europe they are extracting above the 70%. So it happened the same with the agricultural, agri-food and livestock biomass. We are the world's leading producer of olive oil. So we have more than 2 million tons of byproducts and waste that we produce annually. Those byproducts are from crops, are from the industries, as you said. So, and we can't, it's forbidden as well to bring that organic matter to landfill. We need to make products and other energy and fuels from that organic matter. We are the leading pig producers in Europe. All the pigs in Europe grow in Spain. So you bring from Germany your pigs here, grow here, and then you take there to Germany. Why? Because it's very cheap to pollute here. So because we do almost nothing with the livestock waste. So our aquifers are very polluted, so we have a huge problem with that. We are the largest vineyard in Europe, so I mean, we are one of the main exporters of fruit and vegetables, so that means that we are the third European country by absolute biomass resources and the seventh in terms of use per capita. Our regulation of fish stock in Spain is as well huge, almost as huge as the fish stock, you know. So we suffered around 2 years with the RED III, the Renewable Energy Directive recast, they called recast. We suffered a lot because, the European Parliament wanted to push out forest biomass, primary booty biomass, to be precise. And so we did a lot of work, a lot of lobbying and many actions in those 2 years. And we have a huge Excel full of all the regulations that we have in Spain to guarantee that we extract and manage our biomass feedstock in a sustainable way. So, and our regulation is even more strict than the European. If you want more information about this, you can ask me. Okay. We are speaking about biocircularity. We are speaking about closing production cycles. We don't mind if they are in the crops, in the forest, in the livestock, in industries, in landfills. We need to use that residual organic matter and convey and transform into energy, fuels, or bio-based products, and that is called biocircularity. Is the renewable part of the circular economy? Circular economy is very big. Is very focused on electronics, on tires, many components that has to be recycled, but we are the organic part of that big circular economy. These are the biocircular business models that are fighting to be developed in Spain: biofuels for automotive, maritime, transport, SAF, sustainable aviation fuels as well, renewable gases, biogas, biomethane, biohydrogen as well. Bio-based products, bioplastics, biochemicals, cosmetics, additives, bioenergy is what we did in a very discreet way, but it's what we started to do, and that brought us here, And as well, everything related to biorefineries. So you can build biorefineries, so you can integrate biorefineries processes in industries. This is what we want to do in Spain. We have that huge feedstock potential, so this is the situation. We have an unequal progress by subsector. We develop a little bit more, maybe thermal biomass production, then electricity power production from biomass. Some biofuels as well, but it's very, I mean, in general, very underdeveloped. So if you compare the potential, the feedstock potential that we have and what we are doing with that is, very unbalanced. Nowadays, what happens now that didn't happen the decades before is now we have a great interest, mainly from private companies, to develop biocircularity solutions. So we are now in an extraordinary situation because the oil and gas sector is interested in bio. The chemical sector is interested in bio. The agro industries, they need to reduce costs, so we are interested in bio. So we have now a huge interest from private companies, but biocircularity is not in the Spanish political agenda. This is hard, but this is true. When you hear our, I'm going to say decision maker, I don't want to specify any government or ministry or whatever, they are speaking about decarbonization, and they are providing electrification as a solution. But electrification is going to be a solution for some energy demands, not for everything. That's why in Spain we have the transport sector and the industry sector with that huge demand from fossil fuels, because we've been able so far to electrify those uses of energy. So we are going to need other solutions, and we are going to need other solutions now, not in 10, 20, 30 years. And the only solution that we have for that sectors is biocircularity. So to try to change, the way we are evolution in Spain, we just launched a spin-off of BioPlan. And this spin-off is BioTheRoS, the Spanish Biocircularity Association. We launched it on the 2nd of February, so 1 month ago. So we are going to keep focusing BioPlan in R&D and public-private collaboration. And we are going to do as much lobby as we can from BioTheRoS to get biocircularity in the political agenda. So we need Spain to really make sure that we develop biocircularity in the regions. We are convinced that we can lead the economic and social development of regions, positively impacting in environment, in social economics, in the demographic talent. We think we can replace the use of fossil resources in energy, fuels, and all types of derivative products. And our goal is to implement biocircularity as a fundamental economic pillar for Spain and its regions, to create a strong and solvent market and a productive framework that covers the complete value chain. So welcome to BioTheRoS. Thank you so much, Clara.
Thanks so much.
Sorry?
I couldn't agree more with what you're really presenting. It's like, it's sometimes bioeconomy value chains are not as much value as they could be. So I don't know how it's in the other countries in Europe, but definitely in Spain, there's so much work to do here. Dimitri just told me that some colleagues need.
Andrea has said.
Yes, we will have like 20 minutes of roundtable.
Yes, 15 to 20
Okay.
minutes, just also for other
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Yes, great. So Thanks so much for all of you for your presentations or for your perspective. I have a first question to the four of you. I believe it's very linked with what you already mentioned, Margarita, about how the markets could evolve in the future years. What is your feeling about is the supply and the demand going to be enough in the following years for all the applications that has been mentioned, not only SAF, but also biorefineries, pharma industry, alternative materials, feedstock, biofuels, etc. Because it's huge. I mean, all the sectors that are interested in this type of resources, I mean, it's going to be a fight in the following years in the market or even now. So what is your feeling about this?
I think that, as you have said, Margarita and myself, and also you, there is enough supply nowadays for the demand that we have today. There are huge projects. Here there are some participants of huge projects. In the future, this place will need a huge amount of biomass in general. I think we can afford this project, can do it. There is, of course, there's a limit, there's a limitation, but nowadays I'm positive with that. I think we professionalize the supply chain. If we are able to put this material on the fields, if we are able to reduce all the waste, so on, I think I'm positive, and we have a great potential in front of us. There will be some places, some areas with more tension. We can say like that. But really we are by myself, I'm optimistic with that. Which I do.
What do you believe? Margarita?
It's a question that upsets me a lot.
I could see your
We
face.
haven't done anything, and now we are worrying about if we are going to have enough for the future. So I mean, but anyway, if we really want to be able to provide biomass to those huge projects, we have to develop the market. If we continue working like we did until now, we are not going to be able. We are going to have the feedstock potential, but we are not to have the market for the companies to get there. So in this 1, 2, 3 years, we need to establish a market in which we can buy easily biomass. Otherwise, gas companies, oil companies, and other companies are not going to do it. So we need to commoditize biomass in Spain as they are doing in European countries. In European countries, they could develop their biomass and biocircularity sectors because they were able to convey those biomass feedstocks and resources in commodities. So we have to do the same. And we can do it in Spain. I'm an absolutely lover of a project that Circe made some years ago. We can create biohubs in Spain. We have a full network of agro cooperatives in our rural areas. Those biohubs in which we can, all the farmers, all the industries could bring biomass there. And then from there, those biomass could be commercialized, is what we need, apart from other solutions. We don't have time now but we really need to create those bases for a market. Otherwise, companies are not going to get directly to the forest to get biomass. They need to buy biomass in the same way they have bought oil and gas in the past. So we need to put our sector there, or companies are not going to buy biomass. This is going to be a challenge. This is going to be hard, but we need to be fast and we need to do it. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to provide that enough biomass, even though we have the resources.
I have another vision because
Yes.
starting with the municipal solid waste, the big problem that we have a lot of different kinds
Mix it.
mixes, but out of plastic, out of organic, but all together. So the most important thing is to separate in our house.
Exactly.
And we start with the separate, then we have a very good feedstock. But if we have all together, it's very complicated, and we have a very bad feedstock. So we need to start to separate in our house.
Exactly.
So, and then we can start talking about commodities and new markets. But the first is to have a high quality of this raw material.
Exactly.
So it's another reason. So we need to start
Yeah,
with that.
That should be as well more flexible,
Yeah.
especially when we are speaking about advanced biofuels. We are getting now into the second, because, for example, when we have municipal solid waste organic fraction feedstock, if it is going to be compulsory to separate the organic part from the non-organic part, this is going to be very hard to do it. So we are going to lose a lot of biomass just because of that. Now that synthetic biofuels are as well being promoted, I think the line between what is organic and what is not organic is going to be more, let's say, diffuse, less clear. So probably in some years, we are going to use that in the way that we are going to have it. The way we are going to have separated is going to be like, the diamond, like the pure biomass that we are going to be able to produce. But we need to find a solution for that organic fraction that is going to be mixed with other biomass, because even though if we do a very good separation in origin, the rest fraction is going to have as well biomass, it's going to have organic matter. So why should we be such a, strict, let's say if we can have a synthetic fuel, from that feedstock as well. Probably that fuel shouldn't have the same, let's say, positive impact, and positive consideration in directive than the one that was produced by 100% biomass, but should be considered as well, and directive goes in that direction. So let's see.
This is a good point, but the problem is maybe the gasification technology, we can say more about this, but the problem is the heterogeneous of this amount, because we have a lot of organic and a lot of plastic, but with not the same percent.
Exactly.
So we need to protect, and we increase all the cost of the procurement. And this is the difficult, because the market, the final products, it wants to high quality products. And to take this kind of quality, we need to maintain the quality of the feedstock. And with this variety of the composition, is very complicated to treat and to introduce in a gasification, pyrolysis, all of this kind. So to introduce a very heterogeneous materials is a big problem now from the technologies. And that's one of the reasons that these kind of projects are very necessary in this moment. Because for the reaction fraction that you told, now we don't have any solutions in this moment, because the technologies are not developed in this moment. So first, for me, the first thing is to separate. Then we have the reaction fraction, but now with the reaction fraction is the challenge and the big problem, because the technologies are not developed in this moment. So we are impossible to supply raw materials to the gasification of the companies for the bio oils or bioproducts. So we need to start with that and to develop new technologies like the gasification and to reduce the cost of labor treatment.
Yes.
So this discussion is interesting. I was just saying to the coordinator, I don't even have to make questions, so it is great. So one of my questions was how you're feeling about how the biogenic and non-biogenic carbon sources are going to coexist in the future. Market development, obviously that needs to be accompanied with the technology development. Otherwise, it is very difficult to work with really heterogeneous fractions.
In as I said, is separate waste treatment plant from organic, and we have 40% of reactions. It's a lot. And it's total separate from a waste.
Okay.
It's impossible. We need to treat these reaction fractions, and we need to find a solution.
Exactly. Yes.
But that is a problem that we need to work with new technologies, with classifications, and the market know what is the problem. When we start, because we have a very problem raw material.
Now, I would like to make a question because I have a lot. We already collected from the consortium, but we don't have time. Maybe we can discuss it during the coffee break. But I have a question to Esteban about sustainability of the feedstock. You already mentioned in your presentation. How are you managing that? Are you combining different types of biomass depending on the periods? Could you please explain a little bit more about it?
Yeah, one of the solutions is to combine different kind of biomass, but also it's we use warehouses for this material. You cannot keep this material for more than 3, 4, 5 months, depending on the humidity and the moisture and so on. But at the end, you can cover most of the year with the fruit. At the end, you also have different types of. It's not the same the olive or the almond or the other kind of fruits. You can more or less keep doing 8, 9 months, and so you need other kind of materials like forest. But what you need is these warehouses all around Spain, all around the geography. We have mentioned before the cooperatives. It could be part of the solution.
But no, totally.
It could be part of the solution if they will be the part of the solution if they understand that the farmers they have a problem, and as soon as they have the problem, the cooperative will be part. And the cooperatives they have space for making this kind of warehouses, and we are doing by ourselves. We have a depot here and 100 kilometers from here in order to handle this seasonality for our customers, because we have several customers here in Aragon, and if you want to give material during the year, you need these warehouses, and you need to introduce a kind of material more expensive, because forest is more expensive. Forest is not so cheap as the fruit, but well, this is one of the solutions.
And what is your, because you've been talking about cooperatives, obviously farmers, it's not really big cooperatives or big agricultural industries. Maybe we are just talking about small individuals, let's say, that have fields and they have byproducts that could be valorized. What is your perception from this primary sector? Are they, from a more, let's say, environmental or social perspective, are they aware of their role, the role they can play, or because now they are in a very critical situation with the common agricultural policy and so on? What is what you find when you go to an exploitation?
When you go to a farmer, if they have the problem that they have to take out this material, this is a problem for them. They will look for a solution. But nowadays, it's not such a big problem. They have a problem every 20 years, every 25 years that they have to cut or they want to change the tree that they have. So every 20, 25 years they have the problem. And at this point is when they call companies like ourselves and we take the material, we take the biomass. But they don't see that they are part of the solution of the bioeconomy. They see that they have a problem. This is always the mentality of the farmers that we are finding. So the cooperatives, for example, they are not playing in our play. They are not working with us. So what we make is we try to find solutions for this material. Because nowadays, a farmer they can chip the material on the field, they can leave the material there, or even they can burn. And if you go in Valencia, you go to the east of Spain, you will see that they are burning the material. And it's horrible. And again, we are burning while we can be producing electricity with that, when we can be producing heat. So yeah, we have to integrate. And like I said before, but we have to create the market. At the end, I mean, we have to professionalize this market. We have to put machinery. We have to put people who are able to handle this material, because one of the biggest problems is how to use all this biomass. You see the fire that we had this year, the last year in Zamora, it was huge. More than, I think it was 300,000 tons of biomass. And we have still on the forest, we have more than 100,000 tons there, because there is not weight, there is no machinery enough, there is no people enough to take this biomass. So we have the biomass, but we have to service, we have to take people, we have to take people from the rural area to work with that and to obtain this biomass. And this is one of the biggest contacts that
one of the great challenges.
Yeah.
On the one hand, as Margarita said, lobby actions to promote policy framework, but also to engage the sector itself. So,
But it has to be a sector, it has to be attractive.
Yeah, exactly.
Sector, because there is some people is not going to work in that, not going
Yeah,
to work in the forest, and you have to make it attractive for those people. Because we're taking people from other countries to work there. As in other sectors, I know there are others also that is happening that. But we need people, and we need to invest in machinery and so on, and we can make in the public part, or we will make from the private. It's our role.
So I think it's time to finish. May I have 1 minute? I would like you to give a headline of how you are perceiving these great challenges. What key messages could we take away from this round table? 1 minute, otherwise how will you just push out of the room? Margarita.
One sentence, I don't know, I think just this roundtable, right, Clara?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, mainly what I said. So we have a huge feedstock potential in Spain, biomass feedstock potential in Spain, but we really need to be able to establish and create a market, and that means many things, many aspects, personnel, structures, I mean, many points that should be accomplished. And we need to be able to create that market in the very, very short time, If we really
we need to speed it up.
Exactly. We really want to have this biocircularity big sector in Spain and to be able to supply all the big projects that big companies are planning. So we need that sector. We can't be anymore that small market, created by a small power plant, and some boilers around. No.
Yeah.
So we need to really have our biomass in form of commodities in Spain as we did in other European countries.
So speeding it up and let's say empowering this sector.
Yeah.
It's a sentence we use a lot, is we have opportunity to produce one problem that we have into a solution.
Yes.
We have a problem with the waste and the landfills, and we have a solution for the energy. So if we work together, we can find a solution.
For sure.
Esteban?
I think we have, we're talking about the big potential of the biomass in the downstream, and now we have to look to the upstream. We have to look to the supply chain. I think we are key in this kind of projects, and we are talking with most of our off-takers. They say that they need to have the security that the biomass is there. The biomass is there, but we have to work on that. We have to, not only companies like ourselves that have been working for a long time, but again also from the public area and also from other type of measures. Yeah, I think from the public area, other type of measures have to appear. So yeah, the potential is there. We have to work on that.
Okay. Laura, I don't know if you're still online. Sorry, because
Yes.
you're doing
Sorry.
in the hybrid mode. Just a big headline and we finish, please.
Well, as explained during the presentation, for us it's very important to have a way of treat the waste that we manage, which is quite diverse. We have some large quantities of some of these streams, and it's important to implement the appropriate balance to minimize landfilling and meet the European targets. And in doing so, we'll for sure take into account recycling and recovery and in the corresponding order within the waste hierarchy. So it's very interesting to these innovative routes as SIF, also considering its limitations or maybe the challenges we'll face. And it will help, we think, to keep or increase the ratios of recycling and recovery, which is very important for us. And more or less is what we try to share with you in our presentation.
Okay, thanks so much, Laura, and everything was pretty clear and well explained. Thank you, all the speakers. Applause to them, please. And we can keep on the discussion during the coffee break if you're still here, and it was a pleasure to moderate the roundtable. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Clara.
Thank you. So now I will take over the moderation. So the first part of the topic 2 on the biofuels. I will then hand over to my Dutch colleagues to the moderation because I have to leave, unfortunately. And I will start this round with a glimpse on the gasification technology we are using in the BioTheRoS project. So again, my name is Andrea Sonnleitner. I'm from Best in Austria, and I'm presenting today the gasification technology we are using in the BioTheRoS project. This is the syngas platform in Vienna. The syngas platform is a research hub with a waste-to-value process chain and a 1 megawatt gasification plant, and also a Fischer-Tropsch pilot plant. And I will give you here a brief history. So 2019, the research group moved from Güssing in Austria to Vienna to build this new research hub. And we had the commissioning phase over 2 years. And since 2023, we are in the research and development phase. So we are there operationing this lab pilot and demonstration scale infrastructure. Here you can see the sites of our location. We are located at the industrial site of Wien Energie, which is also a very important partner. There we have this dual fluidized bed gasification demonstration plant, then the Fischer-Tropsch pilot plant, the dedicated feedstock containers. We have laboratories and analytics there at the site. There's the temperature swing absorption, aqueous phase reforming, and a smaller lab-scale Fischer-Tropsch plant. So here you can see the process overview of the technology. So we are considering residues as feedstock. So we have this advanced dual fluidized bed gasifier. So the input residues from forestry, agriculture, industry, or wastewater treatment. Then there's the gasification, and the product gas is then cleaned on site. There's the coarse gas cleaning, fine gas cleaning to obtain the hydrogen-rich synthesis gas, and then via downstream synthesis, sustainable biorefinery products can be obtained. So, for example, SNG, hydrogen, different transportation fuels, and chemicals. And there is also the option to have a sector coupling with external hydrogen sources. So what is the innovation of our dual fluidized bed gasification? So that there are a lot of hours worked on first generation DFB plants, and this one is a second generation. We're trying to move the focus from the combined heat and power to waste to value. So as I said, the input streams are residues and wastes from the different sectors. they are gasified at the syngas platform, and then also the research focus is shifting from CHP to higher value refinery products like waxes, jet fuel, the sustainable aviation fuels, alcohols, and diesel. Now some details on the experimental equipment of our facility. So there is the dual fluidized bed gasification with this 1 megawatt demonstration scale plant. It is built for long-term campaigns over multiple weeks continuous operation. So here you can see, oh, it's not working on the, you can see this. This is the gasification column with a counter current flow column, and here we have the combustion column. And this reactor design has been upscaled from a 100 kilowatt plant from the Technical University of Vienna. And now to the Fischer-Tropsch pilot plant. This is a slurry bubble column reactor with 250 kilowatts. It's also meant for operation in long-term campaigns over several weeks in continuous operation. And the gas cleaning includes hot filtration, quench, solvent scrubbers, and activated filters. And the Fischer-Tropsch part of the syngas platform Vienna has been developed in cooperation with the KIT, the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. Then we have some test rigs for gas cleaning and upgrading. So here you can see a model of the Fischer-Tropsch, this bubble column reactor. We have the different aqueous phase reforming, temperature swing adsorption, and it's also planned to install a syngas fermentation at our facility. And all these lab scale test rigs are supplied with the real product gas from the 1 megawatt gasification demonstration plant. And of course, we have analytics and sample preparation and all the measurements necessary for assessing the process on site. So to sum up, what are we doing or what do we want to do? So with this syngas platform in Vienna, we want to enable sustainable process chains in industry. We want to use this dual fluidized bed gasification process with residues and wastes, and synthesize them or synthesize the produced gas to higher value products from these residues. So we have this lab pilot and demonstration scale infrastructure for experiments and also for de-risking to enable the industrial implementation of this technology. And if you have any dedicated questions or need more information on this, I would you should contact my colleagues listed here. They are the experts on the gasification technology, and they are willing to answer questions and would be happy to have contact with you. Thank you very much. Okay, and now I think we have the Dachi from my colleague from the BioTheRoS project will be the next speaker. He's Martijn Wiel, senior consultant of BTG, Biomass Technology Group in the Netherlands.
Well, hello. I would pass this honor to Bert van der Belt, who is the director of BTG, and he will, he is more in charge of technology matters. So please go ahead, Bert.
Yeah. Good morning.
Okay,
I have to share my screen, I guess.
Yes.
Yes. I will do.
Okay.
Let me see. Share screen.
No, it's not the correct one, maybe.
Seems that
You can see my screen now?
I see the Spanish screen still.
Yeah, we are
Or-
seeing you twice, Martijn.
Yes.
We don't see the PowerPoint.
No. Oh, that's better.
Let me see. Try once more. Share screen.
No.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I will just give a brief introduction on the pyrolysis oil value chain, and well, it's also part of this BioTheRoS project, and this is more about the experimental validation. And what's seen on this screen is basically what we mean with this pyrolysis, fast pyrolysis value chain. We start with biomass, sustainable biomass. We do the fast pyrolysis, producing the liquid, what we call the FPBO, the fast pyrolysis bio oil. This oil is then further upgraded by a hydrotreatment process, producing this HPO, the hydrotreated pyrolysis oil, and that can be distilled. And after distillation, we have this advanced biofuels. That's the aim of this project, and we will demonstrate it on bench scale in our lab. We will use two different types of biomass. One will be, it's already started, it's the forestry residue. And the other one needs to be selected. It will be done in the next month. And that will be the second value chain based on processes demonstrated in this project. The products we are looking at or aiming for, it's including the, let's say, a drop-in or at least a sustainable aviation fuel, the SAF. And one part will be the renewable marine fuel. So these are the two main products we are aiming for. Well, just to start with fast pyrolysis, probably well known to most of you. It's thermal cracking, depolymerization of organic material, no oxygen or very limited oxygen. And we really aim to maximize the amount of liquids, so the FPBO. We will not only get liquid, there will also be gas and char. We will use it within the process. Minerals recovered at low temperature. And this fast pyrolysis is because we need fast heating to maximize the liquid yield. We think that the process conditions are relatively mild. Normally, we operate around 500 degrees C. It's atmospheric pressure. You see some examples of full-scale fast pyrolysis plants running in Europe. The technology is maturing for pyrolysis, but as mentioned, we call it an oil. It's not really an oil. If you look at liquid composition, it contains all the fragments from the original biomass. So it includes also acids, ketones, aldehydes, etc., carbohydrates originating from the cellulose, depolymerized lignin from the lignin part, etc., so on. So it's the oil is very, very different from any fossil oil. Just a few more words on the process itself. And so we start with biomass. We have the fast pyrolysis reactor. And in the reactor, we mix the biomass with hot sand. And normally we run with hot sand. We get this depolymerization of the biomass. You get an organic vapor. We try to condense it as fast as possible. And the condensate effect is the pyrolysis oil. And not everything can be condensed. There will be some non-condensable gases. Typically, it's CO, CO2, and a little bit of methane. That's also burned within the process. The sand and char are removed from the reactor. They are sent to a char combustor. And in the char combustion, well, as the word is saying, we are burning the char, reheating the sand, and the hot sand is sent back to the reactor. So typically the temperature in the charcoal is a little bit higher than in the reactor, and it's a full continuous process. On the right-hand side, you see this table with the properties of pyrolysis oil, or typical properties of fast pyrolysis oil. You can also see it's very different from fossils. Normally we have maybe some 20-25% of water in the liquid. The density is very high compared to fossils. The heating value is much lower. It's acidic, and typical acid number is around 70. Sulfur is normally not a problem, but it's mainly determined by the original biomass. Flash point, we cannot really measure it. The cetane number, which is important for fuels or for certain fuels, it's, well, actually we do not really know, but certainly it's below 20, whereas a fossil fuel is, well, above 35 or even above 50. And we also measure the carbon residue, the MCRT. It's above 15. It means it's sensitive to carbon formation. And for advanced biofuels, it should in fact be close to 0. So we are still far away from an advanced biofuel. If we start with fast pyrolysis oil, it means we need an upgrading process. That's something we also developed at BTG. What you see here is the upgrading process, or schematic drawing of the upgrading process. We start with pyrolysis oil, and then we have a first catalytic hydrotreater. It's called a stabilization. We run under hydrogen, under high pressure, with a dedicated catalyst. And that's the first step in this overall upgrading process. The product from this part, we call it also a stabilized pyrolysis oil, SPO. And it's mainly changing the oxygen functionality in the oil, making further treatment easier. The SPO, then we go to a second hydrotreating catalyst, or hydrotreater is mainly on deoxygenation. In the stabilization, there is hardly any deoxygenation, so the oxygen content is still maybe around 30% or so. In the hydrotreater, and normally it can be a typical NEMO, COMO catalyst. It's just commercial catalyst. We do the further hydrotreatment, get still an intermediate, the SDPO. It's stabilized, it's deoxygenated, still containing several percent of oxygen, and do a final hydrotreatment ending in this HPO. In HPO and the hydrotreat pyrolysis oil, the oxygen content is very low, even close to 0. It's still not an advanced biofuel in itself. We will do the distillation, and we always get a light fraction, what we call the naphtha, and the middle fraction it's at least it has a boiling point in the yet range, and that's and the residue, which typically a boiling point up above 280, 290. We call it a marine fuel. So we get. We do not only produce yet or only marine. There's always a combination of different products, and it's covering the whole boiling range. The same process we can also show by products, what you see here. And we start with pyrolysis oil, the FPBO. It's a dark liquid and with a smoky odor. Once you do the stabilization, it's still a dark liquid. It does not really change, but it's a stabilized oil. The properties are really different. There is a strong reduction in carbonyl content and a reduction in carbon residue. And then we go to the hydrotreatment. It means the further treatment over a NEMO or COMO catalyst. We get this HPO and the hydrotreated pyrolysis oil. This is well miscible with all fossil fuels. The properties are more similar to that. It does not contain water, it does not contain oxygen, and that's distilled. And we, as shown here, we can do it in 3 fractions. For instance, the naphtha with typically a boiling point below 140. It's mainly cycloalkanes, and the ethyl, methyl, propyl cyclohexane we see a lot. We get a second fraction, and in fact that's the major fraction. It's the biojet is typically around 50% of so half of the HPO is boiling in the jet range, and we get a more heavy fraction, which is called here the biodiesel, the residue. It's the HPO diesel, and actually this is also what we will do in BioTheRoS for 2 different types of biomass. We have some facilities here at BTG. We can do the fast pyrolysis. It's the pictures on the left. We have what we call a bench scale pyrolysis. It's around 2 to 4 kilograms an hour. And we have a pilot plant. Pilot plant depends a little bit on the feedstock, but the feed rate is around 100 to 200 kilograms an hour. And we typically run it on during the day in day operation. It's not full continuous in that sense, but it's running for, let's say, 4 to 10 hours a day and producing sufficient oil for the further treatment. Within BioTheRoS, we will use the bench scale unit. Then we have the pyrolysis oil from a specific biomass, and we go to the either bench scale or pilot scale hydrotreating. And also in BioTheRoS, we will use the lab scale hydrotreaters. We have 5 of these hydrotreaters available at BTG, and that's typically around 1 kilogram a day, but it's 24/7 operation. So we just started up and running for a couple of weeks. We also have a pilot plant. It's normally operated during the week, not in the weekends, but that's 20 to 50 kilogram of feedstock a day. And these units will also be used in BioTheRoS to demonstrate the whole value chain. One other part is the further scaling up, and just to show one picture how we see it, the combination of fast pyrolysis and upgrading. In our opinion, the fast pyrolysis is done on a decentralized basis, so relatively small units of, let's say, 40,000 tons of biomass a year.
Sorry, Bert, this is Aleida. There is 2 minutes left in.
Yeah, I'm almost finished.
Okay.
And we have the centralized upgrading. We think about units of, let's say, 70 to 240,000 tons a year, and producing 30 to 90 tons of kilotons of HPO annually. So it's a combination of decentralized and centralized upgrading, and that brings me also to the end of this presentation. So what we will do in the project, we will demonstrate the whole value chain from biomass via fast pyrolysis to advanced biofuels. We will do it for 2 types of biomass. We aim for SAF and renewable marine fuel, and there will also be an evaluation of the scaling up of this value chain. That's the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure if my colleague from BEST has left, but I will take over from this point on. Our next speaker will be Angeliki Sagani from CERT.
I will present this one, Martin. On behalf of
Okay,
CERT.
you will do it. Okay.
Yes, okay. That's the.
Yes, of course. Yeah. On the life cycle part, yeah. And,
Okay.
boundaries.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Martin. So, hello again. I will present now a small short presentation about our activities in the BioTheRoS, and I will give emphasis to the modeling, because apart from modeling, will be also experimental activities, especially for CO2 capture integration in gasification system that Adrian mentioned before, and also activities regarding the upgrading of Fischer Tropsch vaccines. So, can I have? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, just again. Okay. Okay, some a few words about CERT. CERT is a research institute in Greece. Have 5 different institutes. As you can see, we cover a plethora of fields for energy, for information and communication technologies, for mobility, for applied life sciences and agricultural technology. I'm working at the Chemical Process and Energy Resources, the institute, working on 2, let's say, main research fields in energy and environment. We are more than 1,000 people. Most of us, we are engineers, and our Several offices are in Thessaloniki, while I'm working in Athens, and our group has also a laboratory in Ptolemais in Western Macedonia, especially for biomass characterization, and also other biomass activities, like, for example, biogas laboratory fully equipped for relevant activities. So, just as I mentioned, I will stay on some horizontal activities that we do and are relevant also to the BioTheRoS project, and especially for modeling. So, we, as a group, we are working on the supply chain design and optimization of logistics, on process modeling and optimization of advanced energy systems and bioprocessing, safety modeling, sustainability assessment through LCA and LC. I'm leading this group. The techno-economic assessment and the business plan for industrial applications, and development of ASTI platforms, especially for focus on optimization of energy use and cost and carbon emissions. So, now some few words about our work in life cycle analysis and in the project. Here, the main scope is to develop an LCA framework in environmental, economic, and social terms based on the ISO. Just a few words about LCA. LCA is an assessment starting from to define the goal, then to have an inventory analysis data in order to process them and to reach to a final environmental footprint. And impact assessment is the calculation methodology that we use in order to estimate the environmental footprint, and finally the interpretation that it is the discussion, the sensitivity analysis that are required based on the different parameters. So, in the framework of BioTheRoS, we will develop an LCA framework for scale-up projects. We need to define quite a realistic cost of nodes to understand the boundaries and to evaluate the project. In addition, we develop and we are going to also develop a multi-criteria decision methodology. Based on the life cycle thinking on environmental, economic, and social terms, we will merge, let's say, all of these aspects, and we will try to have a single decision based on this one, on environmental, economic, and social terms. Of course, a quite critical, let's say here, point is the definition of criteria. We need to have during these workshops discussion with partners and especially with industries in order to see the boundaries, to define the criteria, and to develop the relevant multi-criteria methodology. The multi-criteria methodology that we are going to do, you can see here a short figure. It will be innovative, will combine different algorithms that there are, and they will try to reach to the final result for evaluation of scale-up projects. So we hope that this one will be a useful tool for decision making. Yes, for decision making for the biomass scale-up project. So, just a final last slide is about the process modeling and computational fluid dynamics. Here, apart from LCA and LC and social modeling, LCA will do process modeling and CFD. So as you can see, we are working especially for the gasification for CFD. So we started on lab scale gasifier, that one that Andrea mentioned in her presentation. Then we will make the CFD, and we let's say we calculate the kinetic rate, and then as you can see, we have two pathways. One to apply the selected network at industrial scale gasifier, and of course to provide all of these informations, parameters, crucial operation parameters, to the process modeling in order to make the upscale. So our motivation here, our goal, our objective here is to create a scalable process model for the mass and energy balance calculations for scale-up projects, and to have to estimate those parameters, the operational parameters for the operation of the scale-up project. As a summary, we have in BioTheRoS, as you saw, as BTG and Best mentioned, some lab activities, and in order to go to the scale-up, we use those data through our models in order to go to the scale-up and to evaluate this one based on life cycle thinking. Thank you for your attention, and I hope we were on time. Okay.
Yes, thank you very much indeed for this introduction. If I'm informed well, we will have a presentation of Repsol. Looking forward, Pedro Segovia. Well, agriculture engineer and bioengineer. He joined WRW and RWE in 2007, being head of feedstock management, responsible for ensuring 1 million tons of feedstock supply through biomass contracts. So that's a lot. It must be a lot of work. I'm interested to hear more about that. But he joined Repsol in 2011 and had several positions. And recently he joined the Renewable Fuels and Circular Economy business unit, and where he is responsible to deploy the biomass supply strategy for the Repsol projects. Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for Circe and all the partners for inviting Repsol to and give us the opportunity to explain our strategy for renewable fuels and materials. I would like to do it as fast as I can because when I don't have much time, like everyone. But first of all, to tell you that Repsol is leading fuel supply in Spain with its refineries, and not only refineries, we have also petrochemical units, and we produce all kinds of chemicals, plastics, and as well as lubricants and asphalts and all that downstream value chain. So the main industry is the refinery. So our aim is to transform our business model, to transform our industrial centers. So of course, you know that crude oil and natural gas are our normal inputs, and our aim is to substitute those inputs with waste, all kinds of waste, and with biomass. We also have green power. We have power renewable energy business, but also green power for the refineries, and we're producing hydrogen. So our aim is to do a whole transformation of our business. The other thing I would like to show you about the industrial centers is the location. I mean, we have 6, and they are really strategically placed in Spain too, because there's a market of fuels, and there's a very well-established market. Let me tell you, very, very well, and descends on hundreds of years of refining. So this is very well thought. So this is one of the good news, that if we reach to produce biofuels, we need how to treat them, and we need how to distribute them. So this is already in place, and we have to take advantage of that. Well, we will do industrial complexes, I mean everything, renewables, hydrogen, we will capture CO2, biogenic CO2, we will do change the boilers for biomass boilers. I mean, there's a whole transformation plan. In terms of the value chain, And well, we see that the raw materials are not commodities. We are quite aware of that. So we have to develop strong partnerships there. And we have primary conversion and secondary conversion. Primary conversion is to produce, for example, pyrolysis oil, to produce ethanol. That can be done in the industrial complex or outside, where it's strategically better positioned, for example, near the biomass. But the secondary conversion should be done in the refinery because that's the aim of the refinery to do this kind of transformation. And then the products and the final uses are our clients, normal clients that they are asking us for these products, and so we want to give them. And talking about routes, we are seeing everything. I mean, we have a pipeline of everything that you may know. We know it, and we have a technology center that Rebecca is here to tell that every route we know every route, we know the TRL of everything. I mean, there's a technology race, and we want to pick the best technologies for this. So, for example, for the lipidic. There's a quite developed technology for use cooking oil and oil and fats, animal fats to hydrogenation. We have already a plant, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. For biological transformation, we have a pipeline of anaerobic digestion and also fermentation of biomass to produce biomethane and bioethanol. For thermochemical, we are seeing both gasification and pyrolysis. Gasification also with municipal solid waste, and pyrolysis of biomass and plastics. And then the CO2, the e-fuels, we are already investing in that. And in terms of circular materials, depending on the quality of what we find, if the quality is very high and the product is very pure, we are doing mechanical recycling. So we are mixing our polyolefins, virgin polyolefins with recycled polyolefins. Then we have also chemical recycling processes, the pyrolysis. We are processing that oil and giving certificated circular products to our clients. Then we have gasification of municipal solid waste, and we have the ecoplanta. I will talk about later. And then we have the Red Pool project, and that we are recovering polyols from the mattresses from waste, and we have a plant in Puerto Llano. One of the important things is that this is already a reality. We are doing it already. This is not something in the future, because it's more than 10 years that we are co-processing vegetable oil. We have a capacity of about 1 million tons of co-processing. So we are doing it already. And then we are also chemical recycling the plastic. And we are selling also biojet for our clients. And we are selling also 100% renewable diesel for our clients. And then the R&D center, which is quite big and quite important for Repsol, and is testing more than 40 wastes and researching every single route that it exists. And we also have a first electrolyzer in Liberia. It's in Bilbao, 2.5 megawatts. The advanced biofuels plant in Cartagena is right now in commissioning stage, so we are already producing HVO from animal fats and from used cooking oil, 250,000 tons, which is in Cartagena. 2 million euros investment. Then this is important, I think, for you, because we did a big bet in gasification of municipal solid waste. We have this project with Enerchem technology, and we participate in that technology also. We produce a syngas, and we can synthesize methanol or synthetic crude oil, and then we can use our installations to produce circular materials or renewable fuels. And our first project in Cartagena, which is right now in the final investment decision, it's a quite big project and quite expensive. It's a 1 billion project. We will take 4,000 tons of municipal solid waste, the rest fraction, the rejection, and produce 240 tons of methanol. So as it is 65% biogenic, this carbon will end up being biofuel in a 65%, and the other carbon which comes from the plastic will become new plastics, so with circular products. And we have a pipeline of these kind of projects for the places where there is the waste is accumulated. And our administration and also waste manager will be very happy if this has a success, because to accomplish the legislation that we have, I think it is going to help a lot. Then the last thing, the e-fuels demo plant. It's a 100 million demo plant of e-fuels. That is also the first in Iberia. We are developing in BioTheRoS. We have the electrolyzer of now 2.5 megawatts. It will increase to 10 and then to 100 megawatts electrolyzer. And then plastic to olefins. Then Rebecca, when we discuss, she can explain a little bit more this project, which is a thermochemical conversion of plastic waste, and this is something that we are developing in-house. And the last thing that I wanted to share is that we need partnerships. The raw materials are not commodities, so we need to establish robust and robust partnerships from the raw materials point of view, of course, also from the technology operation with technologies and licensors, and also with the final users. We have to build demo plants and first-of-a-kind plants, which is not easy because there's a implicit high risk, but someone has to pay, someone has to start, and we are ready to do it. But we also need a little bit of help. We need public funding to help us doing that. We have been all the big projects that what I have talked about, they have been financed. So collaboration, private and public, I think it's very, very important to boost this business.
Thanks a lot for this presentation, brief and very interesting. I hope we have some time left for questions later. But first, we have another presentation from Manolis, which is Karen Pines from Bioenergy Europe, on the legal affairs, and which is of course a very important part of the of the making this happen, this whole advanced biofuels outlook. Okay, thank you, Manolis. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Martin, for the introduction. So sorry to not be in Zaragoza and only able to connect online. I see many familiar faces, so I'm sure it would have been nice to be there. I think I'm a bit disadvantaged compared to the others, not only for remote participation, but because in the program I only had 5 minutes instead of 10. But I think I might take advantage of the famous double counting rules in red, and I will multiply by time by 5, giving me 5 more minutes. Otherwise, there won't be enough time to cover everything. Give me one also second to share the screen, and let me know if you see it in full screen mode.
Not yet, but yes, there it is.
Okay, perfect. So I was asked to give you a brief update on the policies for advanced biofuels, but before that I have to say a few things about Bioenergy Europe. We are a trade association, a members-based organization representing the bioenergy sector in Brussels level. We have around 180 members now. 40 of them are national biomass associations, and the other 140 are companies mostly, and a few academic institutions or research institutions. And we pretty much cover all the steps of the bioenergy value chain, from feedstock to trading to technology to end use. And now, when we're talking end use today, we are talking mostly about the power and the heat sector for the feedstocks we are focusing on, the lignocellulosic feedstock. In the future, though, we expect more and more interest to come from the hard-to-abate sectors, and that, of course, includes aviation and possibly maritime as well. We are involved in 2 certification schemes, CN Plus for wood pellets for residential use, and SURE, which was already mentioned before, is sustainability certification according to the Renewable Energy Directive requirements. And we are active in the EU policy monitoring and influence, very important if you want to have some kind of investment security, market data, and other things for our members. So I don't want to give you a history lesson here about the evolution of the Renewable Energy Directive over the years, but I think it's important to note here the speed with which we are moving when it comes to establishing sustainability criteria for bioenergy. So in 2009, we had the first Renewable Energy Directive, and then we had sustainability criteria for biofuels and bioliquids. At the time, they were produced and still are produced mostly from food crops or feed crops. So there was the question about competition between biofuels and food. So hence the need for sustainability criteria for these types of fuels. 9 years later, in 2018, we have RED 2, in which, of course, we have a higher target for renewable energy, but we also have sustainability criteria and greenhouse gas emission criteria for biofuels, bioliquids, and biomass fuels, solid and gaseous. So the sustainability discussion is expanding. And then 5 years, we have RED 3, in which we have a revision sustainability criteria. And a higher greenhouse gas savings criteria as well. So things are moving much faster in Brussels, and they are moving fast also in the framework of Fit for 55. In the past, renewable energy directive was usually enough, let's say, for the renewable energy sector, but for bioenergy, we have to consider many other things. EU ETS, for example, the LULUCF regulation, EUDR is a very hot topic for us now, Endless Taxation Directive, CBAM, the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. But for today's presentation, I will focus on 2 other regulations, the RefuelEU Aviation, which has sets the SAF mandate for the future, and the FuelEU Maritime Regulation with the greenhouse reduction targets for the shipping industry. So, moving first to the RefuelEU Aviation Regulation, what this regulation is establishing is that from 2025, it's going to be mandatory to have a share of SAF. SAF is sustainable aviation fuel in jet fuel supply to European airports. And we also have a SAF target for eSAF, so SAF from electrofuels, let's call it like that, starting from 2030. In the graph, which is not from ours, it's from Sky Energy, a very well-known actor in the SAF market, are the expectations of how this market is expected to grow in the future. So up to 2030, the expectation is that the SAF mandate will most likely be met by the HEFA pathway, so HVO. And any kind of lignocellulosic facilities producing SAF are going to be first of a kind. But from 2030 onwards, there is going to be a tremendous need for lignocellulosic SAF to be on the market, because otherwise the mandate cannot be met. And also if eSAF as well. What's also important to note maybe here is that if you look at the darker gray bars, it's the jet fuel demand on the 2019 level. If you are expecting the SAF demand and the jet fuel demand to increase, then the mandate is also increasing, meaning more stress on resources, even more lignocellulosic SAF required or more eSAF required for the market. When we come now to discussing about the feedstocks for which SAF can be produced, there we are referring back to the Renewable Energy Directive and the famous Annex 9, where we have two different parts. Part A is the advanced biofuels, so the things that are now a bit more difficult technically to produce any kind of liquid biofuel, basically. And part B are the more mature technologies, and there you have feedstocks like UCO, used cooking oil, and animal fat. The good thing with the parts with Annex 9 is that it's a bit like Hotel California. You can come, but you can never leave. You can only have more additions. So there is going to be a periodic revision of Annex 9 every 2 years, more or less. And now it's under discussion that there are going to be feedstocks included, such as, for example, food and cover crops, intermediate crops, as well as non-food or feed crops grown in severely degraded land. And if these crops are used to produce SAF, they go into part A, so the advanced biofuels part. If they are grown to produce anything, any other kind of biofuel, they go into part B. In part A as well now, somebody already presented that you have several lignocellulosic materials, including forest biomass fractions and agricultural biomass fractions as well. In the fuel EU maritime now, moving into the shipping industry, there the approach is a bit different. We don't have a fuel mandate or blending mandate, but we have a greenhouse gas reduction mandate, which is going to be 80% reduction by 2050 compared to the situation in 2020. What is happening there when it comes to biofuels is that, first of all, there is a kind of a de facto ban on food and feed crops, because if you use them, you are applying the same emission factor as the least favorable fossil fuel pathway. So it makes, I would say, no sense to use food and feed crops. So again, the directive is steering a bit into the advanced biofuels direction, but it's steering probably even more into other directions, because if you are using electricity, for example, you have again a de facto zero emission factor, so which is of course very favorable, and you also have a sub-target for RFNBO, renewable fuels of non-biological origin. So again, these are promoted a bit more in the fuel EU maritime versus the biofuels. But I find often that when we are discussing, let's say, SAF or maritime fuels, we are focusing too much on Annex 9 rather than the sustainability criteria of Article 29. And these are very, very important. Why? Because you need them to comply with them if you are to be accounted on the rest targets, for example, at national level, or the sectorial sub-targets. You need these to comply with this criteria if you are to be eligible for public financial support, and you need these also to be considered zero rated in the EU ETS system, which is expanding already. It already covers aviation, for example. And what are these criteria? Well, it's too complicated to go into details now, but you have criteria for harvesting, you have criteria for LULUCF, and you have criteria, as I mentioned before, for greenhouse gas emission savings. RED 2 establishes criteria for forest biomass, for agro biomass, for waste and residues. Usually it's simpler, but in principle you need to comply. And when it came from the move from RED 2 to RED 3, the criteria were further strengthened. So there was a lot of intense debates in Brussels, and some of you might remember that, on the famous topic of the primary woody biomass, which was a proposal to have a de facto, I would say, ban on anything that was coming directly out of the forest. Forest residues, for example, the needles, whatever, that have been forbidden, which finally, I think the institutions in Brussels realized that it was a bit of a impossible proposal for various reasons. So finally, there is no such ban or new definitions. But there is undoubtedly a strengthening of the sustainability criteria. So there is, for example, a mention of the famous cascading use of biomass, meaning that biomass should be prioritized first for non-energetic applications rather than going into energy. Although the way it is regulated in the text allows for several exceptions on the country level, on the market basis, to absorb biomass in competing applications. Also, there are some restrictions in terms of feedstocks when it comes to forest biomass and power production. So no subsidies for specific, for example, industrial grade roundwood or stumps and roots from trees. The exception threshold is lowered, meaning that more installations will have to comply with sustainability criteria. The greenhouse gas saving criteria are also tightened for at least the power and heat facilities, and more emphasis on no-go areas and more details on what is sustainable forest management. Strengthening for sure is one of the key words in the sustainability policy of the EU up to now. Again, when it comes to biofuels, I found it interesting to mention a report that was published in December from the European Court of Auditors. They have several observations. I would say that it's not necessarily the case that we as an association agree with all of them, but there are two which I would like to highlight, and I think that we are in an agreement. The first one is that the EU biofuels policy lacks a long-term perspective. So there have been many frequent changes of the policy frameworks. So you started first with promotion, for example, of biofuels from food and feed crops, and now you have capping. You have often changes in the policy priorities. You have objectives, but not. How much time do I have?
Yeah, 2 minutes from 10. It's only 2
Yeah.
minutes, but considering
Okay,
10.
yeah, I'm closing, I'm wrapping up. No, we have objectives, but no roadmap. And for road transportation, an unclear future. And for advanced biofuels, the other observation is that we have slower than expected developments and especially issues, for example, with the scaling up of advanced biofuels. You may have heard of projects that have failed recently, actually. So to conclude my presentation, what we are seeing now as an association is that we are expecting demand for biofuels in aviation and maritime to increase significantly in the coming years. We know, everybody knows in the market that the feedstocks in Annex 9 Part B, the mature technologies have limitations in their supply. There's only so much UCO or animal fats you can get in the world. So the interest in the feedstocks of Part A is going to increase, but there are several issues to be addressed. We have the issue of technological maturity. You have the issue of cost, the supply chain challenges, and also the frequent policy framework and priority changes, which also translates into an investment uncertainty. I would say that please remember that the inclusion of a feedstock in Parts A of Annex 9 is not enough. You should also take into consideration the sustainability aspects of Article 29, the further tightening of under Red 3, and what else might come. And what else might come is also very much related to acceptance issues of biomass and bioenergy. So there is a strong push from parts of the civil society, not everybody, to tighten up the sustainability framework. And that is why we think that our work in Brussels is so important, because we are the answer of the sector to those voices. And I think that's enough from my side. Thank you.
Yes, thanks a lot, Manolis, for this great overview. I mean, all the main points of legislation are clearly taken. I think we have a few minutes for some discussion, right? So, well, within the BioTheRoS project, we have a real focus on advanced biofuels, specifically gasification and pyrolysis. I found it very interesting to of the presentation of Pedro Segovia of Repsol, that you actually are involved in, let's say, all the fuel technologies that can be imaginable. Of course, you are in conventional fuels. You're working on advanced biofuels. You have also work on e-fuels. You use also recycled carbon fuels, you could say, with waste. Could you give some insight in how you position, let's say, advanced biofuels as we develop in the BioTheRoS project? You see a great future for them, or do you think recycled carbon fuels is actually maybe as attractive? On the other hand, we heard there's a huge biomass potential in Spain. would be interested to hear your vision on this.
Okay. And the answer is yes. We will see a very good future for advanced biofuels. The point is that the technologies are not still developed. We have the biomass, as Margarita and Esteban said, we have enough biomass, and we have the downstream, which is ready to receive all these intermediate products. Well, we know that pyrolysis oil is quite tricky. We know it also because we have been in Repsol working, and Rebecca can tell, more than 10 years. So we know that it's tricky because it has oxygen, and the challenge is to remove that oxygen and to do something that we can use. But I think that in the future we will accomplish that. And if we do it, we have plenty of capacity of transforming all that. Those products and to produce biofuel. So I am completely convinced that this is going to happen. And also gasification, and we are investing already in gasification. So yeah, we are convinced on that. And recycle fuels, e-fuels, it's a different thing. I mean, it's a completely different approach, but we also have a hydrogen business. And we will have hydrogen, and we are partnering also with companies that produce biogenic CO2, and we produce biogenic CO2. So we think this is also a priority line for us, but the two lines will be will work. If there's not one line which is prioritized from the other one, I think both lines have to coexist.
No, thank you. And can I one additional question? Let's say last year, well, we had a lot of legislation being finalized. The RED III has been published. We have Refuel Aviation. Well, they are presented. Do you think this is? Are there still barriers from legislative perspective, or is the legislation as you has been implemented now? Is it sufficient for you as a company to invest in all these technologies?
Well, I think Margarita knows much better than me. I think the legislation is a little bit messy and it's not so clear. And in terms also of raw materials, which is more my part. It's not very clear if we can use energy crops, if we can't use them, if we can use this kind of biomass or the other one. I mean, there's no more sustainability criteria. There's a list of raw materials, and then I am completely sure that if I'm going to invest all that money in the product that I will have, I will be able to sell it. How the emissions are going to be counted all along the value chain. If I'm producing a recycled plastic, what happens with the carbons that are not going to that plastic? How will be that balance? I mean, I'm not the expert on legislation, but I don't see from the outside. I don't see very clear rules, and I think this is very important in order to have security for investments. I don't know, Margarita, if you agree with me.
Yes, so we don't really have like dedicated regulation, you know.
Yeah.
So we are transposing all the EU regulation, but we don't even have our register of biofuels consumption updated, you know. So since maybe 3 years ago, so it's as I said before, we feel we are like out of the political agenda in many aspects, no? So if the ministry doesn't show interest in updating the register of biofuels productions, consumptions in Spain, is like, what does it mean, you know? So the signal is not very good. So let's work to have a better regulation and more, let's say, dedicated, you know, regulation. Because
Of course.
Spain, we have some particularities that should be recognized in that regulation. So not everything that comes from Europe fits us well, you know. It's mainly
You have to transpose and to still to transpose and to adapt
Exactly.
the legislation. But yes, the message is that we need a clear framework. If not, it's very difficult to work. And as far as I talk with my regulatory colleagues, it's not so clear. There are many people working in regulation, and it's not fully clear.
No, I agree. It's at least it's complex. It became really complex. Yeah, I have a
Yes,
question.
and in terms also, sorry, of sustainability and certification, I think there are also some challenges there that we will have to face.
Say a
in the
few
future.
things? What type of challenge you mean?
I mean, challenges in, for example, when you are working with a lot of farmers, trying to secure that everything is going to be okay. I mean, not only not all companies are industrial companies that have easy access to regulation and know how to do things. So I mean, these are necessary things, and we are ready to do them. But it's complex. It will be complex.
Thank you. I have another a question to Manolis, actually. I think you made a nice overview of the legislation that has been developed now. And of course, I'm actually thinking about, indeed, there is also a kind of a RED 4 coming, I suppose, for 2040. Do you have any news about that, or what's going to happen there?
Well, actually, I think technically Red 4 is already been released, even Red 5, because it covered some other aspects, not the targets. So I think now we are going for Red 5 or 6, technically speaking, but okay, it's a minor point. I would say there are expectations that after the release of the 2040 targets, there are going to be probably a new renewable energy directive or other pieces of legislation focused on reaching this intermediate step. On the other hand, we have the EU elections coming up, and what we understand from the predictions is that we are going to have a more fragmented, politically speaking, EU Parliament, which is going to be maybe more difficult to reach agreements on new topics. We already see some movements that are hinting in possible new directions, like a bigger focus, for example, on industrial policy versus climate policy in the future. So I cannot say for sure whether Red 5, 6, whatever is going to be, whether it will happen with a new commission. But I think there are expectations that we are going to have a commission more focused on implementation of existing regulation rather than new ones, which I think is going to be a bit good if you have some kind of stability and time to assess what is already there, how it influences the market before we proceed with anything new. It was exactly the issue that we had with Red 2 and Red 3. When Red 2 was adopted, it was a first for the sector, but we welcomed it, giving, let's say, a stable framework. It was a mess when it came to national implementation, because despite, let's say, the expectations, there was not a fully harmonized framework across Europe. And we had Red 3 coming up before even some member states had actually implemented Red 2. So really no time for evaluation. So at least my personal opinion is that it would be good to take things sometimes a bit less fast and really understand what are the implications of what we already have in place.
Thank you. Yes. So indeed, we have this regulatory part, and then actually one of the remarks from Repsol was, okay, yeah, we have the value chain, we have everything, but technology is not developed enough yet. Bert, could you say a little bit about the perspectives for, well, let's say, for instance, upgrading of pyrolysis oil? Can that be fast, or do we need to, yeah, we need to go through a lot of research still before we can have a commercial fuel? You have any idea about that? And
Well, I think for all technology, all technologies, you need some time for development and go through the different phases. We are running now at pilot plant scale and making some larger quantities of different fuels. But for instance, if you want to go to SAF, it's not only the production, but also the standardization or certification of the fuel that can take quite some time. So I think if you want to implement it, it will certainly take a couple of years. And it would be, I think a realistic planning would be to have a plant, a first plant or a demo plant running by 29th or 2030, somewhere in that range. And that's just the time you need to do the final experimentation, standardization, making designs of full-scale plants, etc., and so on. So that it's not ready tomorrow.
no, I understand. Yeah, and it's good. At least refuel aviation will, yeah, the shares are becoming bigger and bigger after 2030. So that way it could be still on time. I don't know if somebody from Best is still available or not. I could ask the same question to them, of course, about.
No, but Andrea has left, so.
No, okay. Well, then, yeah, I suppose also also here quite some, yeah, research and development is needed. Yeah, and maybe we can have one final question. Again, Repsol, do you think the e-fuels will they take off? I mean, there's quite some expectation on the political level for RFNBO. So we see that in the RED 2, we see that in refuel aviation. Do you see that happen as fast as expected?
Well, that's a difficult question. I mean, that depends on the price of the hydrogen, and well, at this moment, this is quite challenging. But it also depends on the market that we will have finally. I mean, if the market pays, the technology is going. I mean, it's not a technology that is not as ready as for example, pyrolysis. So yes, it's a key bet for us, and we will accomplish the mandates that we have with our RFNBOs.
Yeah.
So this we will use biogenic CO2, and we will produce biogenic CO2 in our industrial center, because we will substitute part of the boilers with biomass, and we will capture that CO2. But we also are partnering with other companies that are producing biomass companies that are producing this CO2 to capture it and to produce e-fuels with that. And so of course we have this also the hydrogen business, and we are developing the electrolyzers for that.
Yes, thank you. I realize I had actually one final question to Shirt, actually, Dimitris, because yeah, we heard indeed RED 3 is important, sustainability certification is very important. Yeah, what are actually the system boundaries that you take into consideration in the life cycle analysis? Do you take into account the RED 3 very regularly, or you do go much beyond that?
Of course, we take into consideration RED 3, what it says, but the life cycle thinking, it's let's say something more expanded. So we try to to have to define boundaries, fair boundaries, I can say, in order to calculate the overall environmental footprint. Because when we talk about life cycle thinking, we mean from the field to the industry and to the use, and including all the intermediate stages, transportation, storage, etc. So we try to, in the BioTheRoS project, we give emphasis to develop this framework for life cycle analysis and to calculate the environmental footprint, and of course, to compare this one with other, let's say, conventional routes in order to estimate also the cost effectiveness of the technologies that we apply, we promote in BioTheRoS project.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, maybe it's time to finish the roundtable discussion, and maybe I can give the word to the people who are offline to see how we go further. In the program, maybe even WRP had a few slides, but I'm not sure. Yeah, or you want to wrap up? Maybe.
Okay. Just if we would like to present just a few words about the dissemination and how we are going to disseminate the projects, just for information,
So
and then we conclude.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So once more, I am Duygu Çelik from Renewable Energy. So what's all the point of these discussions if you cannot transfer this knowledge to the stakeholders, to like people actually? So this is where we actually going to stage to disseminate all the information and knowledge about our project. So how should I skip this? I would like to start with a really brief information about WIP. So we are a renewable energy consultancy with a long history of managing these kinds of research projects. So we actually joined and managed more than 300 projects. We are quite an international team, and we have more than 20 members at our team. So we have 5 main activities, namely the project management and implementation. We are also coordinating these research projects. We also provide research and consultancy services, as well as dissemination and communication activities like we do for this project. Also, we are a big events organizer. We organize the European Photovoltaic Conference yearly. Maybe you may hear about it. And lastly, we are providing trainings on European funded projects. Yeah. So for BioTheRoS, we are leading the dissemination and communication activities. So what is the aim of these activities? It's basically to design, deploy, and assess a dissemination and communication strategy to reach the targeted people and like targeted stakeholders that we aimed at first. And we aim to create a framework for the dissemination of these results, and with close collaboration at EU level, national level, international level, also in the global level, because this is one of the aims of these projects as well. Also, we would like to ensure the exploitation of these results, because what we aim is to scale up those results and like really go into the market. This is really important. So this is my old presentation. Okay. We also support like several tasks. For example, like the business models for scaling up the technologies. So this task basically mainly includes the marketing concepts, and it supports the market readiness of the technology successfully demonstrated in the context of the projects. Besides, we will have the creation of a knowledge sharing network. So this network will be provided by BEST, I guess, and we will support its dissemination and collecting like people to this platform, basically. And the last one is the tracking the communication and technology readiness levels and demonstration of the process steps. So it's basically to secure the communication exchange among tasks and like continuous tracking of the TRL level. Before I finish, I would like to mention that we will join the European Biomass Conference. And our project will be represented by a poster, and we would be happy to meet you there. Also, we will be represented at BBEST. It's another conference which will take place in Brazil in October. BioTheRoS also will be represented in this event as well. With that, I also invite you to visit our webpage and our social media channels. It's www.biotheros.eu, pretty easy. And social media, you can just find us like typing BioTheRoS EU. You are more than welcome to follow us. With that, I'd like to thank you. And thank you.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Just finalize, yes, the meeting. Thank you very much, first of all the speakers to attend this first workshop of BioTheRoS. It's much appreciated. Just a conclusion, we see that there are a lot of activities around the biomass and the scale-up projects, so we are very happy about this one. We have speakers from the biomass supply, refineries, from associations. We see the big picture, and I think that in the next steps for the BioTheRoS project, it's good to keep in touch, and we discuss also challenges during the project implementation. Thank you very much, Sirsa, for organization of this meeting. I think it was nice. And for all, I hope to keep you in touch through our social media, and of course, also in person to discuss opportunities for synergies in biomass sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.